Python tutorial. Learn Python. Python is a popular programming language. Python can be used on a server to create web applications. Start learning Python now. Python Introduction. What is Python? Python is a popular programming language. It was created by Guido van Rossum and released in 1991. It is used for web development, server-side software development, mathematics, system scripting. What can Python do? Python can be used on a server to create web applications. Python can be used alongside software to create workflows. Python can connect to database systems. It can also read and modify files. Python can be used to handle big data and perform complex mathematics. Python can be used for rapid prototyping or for production-ready software development. Why Python? Python works on different platforms: Windows, Mac, Linux, Raspberry Pi, etc. Python has a simple syntax similar to the English language. Python has syntax that allows developers to write programs with fewer lines than some other programming languages. Python runs on an interpreter system, meaning that code can be executed as soon as it is written. This means that prototyping can be very quick. Python can be treated in a procedural way, an object-oriented way, or a functional way. Good to know. The most recent major version of Python is Python 3, which we shall be using in this tutorial. However, Python 2, although not being updated with anything other than security updates, is still quite popular. In this tutorial, Python will be written in a text editor. It is possible to write Python in an integrated development environment such as Thonny, PyCharm, NetBeans, or Eclipse, which are particularly useful when managing larger collections of Python files. Python syntax compared to other programming languages. Python was designed for readability and has some similarities to the English language with influence from mathematics. Python uses a new lines to complete a command, as opposed to other programming languages which often use semicolons or parentheses. Python relies on indentation, using whitespace to define scope, such as the scope of loops, functions, and classes. Other programming languages often use curly brackets for this purpose. Example, print hello world. Try it yourself. So the output is hello world. Let's go to the next chapter. Python getting started. Python install. Many PCs and Macs will have Python already installed. To check if you have Python installed on a Windows PC, search in the start bar for Python or run the following on the command line cmd.exe: c:\users your name greater than Python --version. To check if you have Python installed on a Linux or Mac, then on Linux, open the command line, or on Mac, open the terminal and type Python -version. If you find that you do not have Python installed on your computer, then you can download it for free from the following website: www.python.org. Python Quickstart. Python is an interpreted programming language. This means that as a developer, you write Python .py files in a text editor and then put those files into the Python interpreter to be executed. The way to run a Python file is like this on the command line: c:\users \username greater than Python helloworld.py, where helloworld.py is the name of your Python file. Let's write our first Python file called helloworld.py, which can be done in any text editor. helloworld.py, print hello world. Anyway, so output is hello world. Simple as that. Save your file, open your command line, navigate to the directory where you saved your file and run c:\users your name greater than Python hello world.py. The output should read hello world. Congratulations, you have written and executed your first Python program. The Python command line. To test a short amount of code in Python, sometimes it is quickest and easiest not to write the code in a file. This is made possible because Python can be run as a command line itself. Type the following on the Windows, Mac, or Linux command line: c:\users your name greater than Python. Or, if the Python command did not work, you can try py c:\users your name greater than py. From there, you can write any Python, including our hello world example from earlier in this tutorial. Print hello world, which will write hello world in the command line. Whenever you are done in the Python command line, you can simply type the following to quit the Python command line interface: exit parentheses. Let's go to the next chapter now. Python syntax. On this page, we're going to see execute Python syntax, Python indentation, Python variables, Python comments, and exercises. Execute Python syntax. As we learned in the previous page, Python syntax can be executed by writing directly in the command line: print hello world, and the output is hello world. Or by creating a Python file on the server using the .py file extension and running it in the command line: c:\users your name greater than Python myfile.py. Python indentation. Indentation refers to the spaces at the beginning of a code line, where in other programming languages the indentation in code is for readability only. The indentation in Python is very important. Python uses indentation to indicate a block of code. If greater than 5 is greater than 2, print 5 is greater than 2. Let's see the output. Python will give you an error if you skip the indentation like this. The number of spaces is up to you as a programmer. The most common use is 4, but it has to be at least 1. If 5 is greater than 2, print 5 is greater than 2. If 5 is greater than 2, there are a lot of indentation here, print 5 is greater than 2. So there are two outputs, both the line, the same thing. You have to use the same number of spaces in the same block of code, otherwise Python will give you an error like this. If 5 is greater than 2, it's supposed to be the same block of code, but in the upper line it is one indentation is used in the lower line, 4 or 5 indentation is used, and which is going to generate an error. So it's almost 10 minutes. So that's it, guys. Thank you for watching this first episode of Python tutorials. I invite you to watch the second one.